Hey, mental health warriors. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I'm super excited about the show. Sorry we got started a little bit late. We were just gabbing away and kind of lost track of time, but that happens. I'm really excited about our guest. Linda's been on my show before, and as I put out on Facebook, I'm kind of doing a fundraiser, kind of help raise money for Lorenz Law, and we'll get in and talk about that. And if you watched the show last week, Troy was on and she did such an awesome job. I begged her to come back on and join me. My normal co-host Lynn is preparing for the hurricane, so thoughts and prayers for everybody out in Florida with the hurricane coming in. As somebody who's been through hurricanes and lived through that, I know that preparation is the key. And then after that, it's all up to God and which way that hurricane turns left or right, or which side you're on or whatever. So I understand that fully. Before we dive into it, I just want to say that out on my Facebook page, Instagram, whatever, I did have the link to Lorenz Law. From that link, you can go there and you can go up in the right-hand corner. And from there, you can donate to her cause. And she's going to talk about more what she does and what Lorenz Law does for our children out there. But also, I want to say, hey, go out and visit VeteranTrashTalk.com. Go out there to our shop. Look at all of our merch. I'm wearing one of the T-shirts today. This is one of the first T-shirts I got from them. You can also go out and get your Mental Health Warrior T-shirt. It has my green Mustang on it, which you can't see it with the green screen. But, I can't take credit for this because, Linda, when you was on the show, you thought this would be a great to put on the back of a T-shirt.
I did.
And I put the in crisis text on the back of the T-shirts because, like I said, it's a T-shirt that could save a life because you never know when you walk by somebody what they're going through.
That is so true.
So many people out there don't know about that text number or to call 988 if you're having issues and problems. And please, as we wrap up Suicide Prevention Month, just pay close attention to your family and loved ones. If you had that buddy or friend or pal that kind of went quiet or just acting kind of a little different, may not be nothing serious, but hey, give them a call, say, how you doing, what's up, with all that. But hey, right before we jump into it, hey, Troy, I want to say, how'd your day go today, since I made you rush home and jump on the computer?
Okay. So first I'll start with the fact that I did some research about stress, because I was feeling stressed, and I felt I had to do the research because you wanted me to be on this podcast, and I didn't want to start mouthing off without like numbers, right? So I could sound really smart. And then I got this.
You got smarts.
I got smart. Yeah. And then I got this. My daughter gave me this, and this has been a game changer. If I drink 64 ounces of water, it's supposed to be change my life. So I'm starting it today, and maybe I won't have stress tomorrow. So this is what I've been up to, and you can see I failed miserably. It has the times on it, so forget I'm not promoting this brand. I'm just saying, I'm at 3:00. So yeah. I'm
a little behind.
So you're gonna be up all night peeing, right, instead of sleeping?
Oh my God. Yeah, on my list of stress though, like that's not on it, right? I was just like so stressed today, like maxed out. But I gave into it. And then I like to identify like an object that I can blame.
Yeah.
A person.
I can take it. I'm a mental health warrior. Right. I'm tough. I can take
it. I took this out of the cabinet, and I'm like, I can control this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can drink it or fail, but I don't want to fail.
Right.
So I'm not going to bed until I get to 9 p.m. at 4 a.m. I don't care. It's on.
All right. You do it. I have the utmost faith in you, and I'll follow up with you tomorrow and make sure you got all that water in you.
Thank you. And I'll let you know that I have no more stress.
That's great. I had a boss for all the time when people would get stressed out in the meeting, he would just tell everybody to drink water.
It's just water.
But you know what? No two people are the same when it comes to stress. So,
that's true.
You might drink that water and you're still going to be stressed. And then that just means that that's not your resource. That's not your mechanism or your tool to help you through your stress. So it could be anything. It could be sewing. It could be walking. It could be sleeping, releasing, doing a podcast. It could be anything that automatically allows your body to relax and and allows the stress to just roll off your shoulders as if you are releasing a boulder.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because there's a tie-in, right? So I'm leaving one environment and I'm coming back to what I call my bum sanctuary, my house. So I left a pretty stressful situation work-wise, and I've been on what I call a sabbatical. So I haven't been fired. I haven't hurt anyone. I just one day got up, dropped that cat card, and kept it pushing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to go back because I did this with only 3 years left to retire. So this is craziness, right?
No.
Right. But at first everyone's like, they're doing the check-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you selling things? Have you lost, any interest in things previously, appreciated, loved it? I was like, look, I'm just absolutely losing it, or I have the guts to say, I'm tapping out for a minute. I want to do something. I got something else going on. So the silly part was that water jug that my daughter gave me and said, she's 22, she knows everything, and I'm an idiot. So, I don't know how I breathe and walk and put my pants on. I'm just an idiot. My kids, I'm just an idiot. They probably know. She's on a podcast. She's probably backwards and hanging out the window and talking to a phone. She's probably wandering around in that room thinking she's on. She's probably talking to herself. So yeah, because I'm an idiot. And so I got the water thing. So now I'm trying to be mature, and I'm like, I'm going to drink. But this just validates my binge watching TV, right? So when I want to do that, which I'm so good at right now, this makes me think it's purposeful. See?
And if tomorrow you're less stressed, then I would really recommend that you jot down everything that you did before you go to sleep, so that you know what you did, because it may not just be the water.
No, this is just justifying me doing nothing, because you said walk. That'd be something I have to do. I'm telling you, I'm taking this whole being a bum to a whole nother level. It's outside my zone. I don't even want to be involved with, one more thing I got to tell you. So I go to the gym.
You need to own that. It's not being a bum.
I just like saying it.
Own it.
I'm an overachiever, workaholic lunatic, right? And now I'm like, whatever. I say that, whatever. I'm like 12 years old, whatever. And then I go to the gym every day. I don't go in. I drop my son off, and then I go back and I pick him up. And I'm hitting that couch hard. And I got to put pants on with a button of some sort at some point. So I'm going to have to go in the gym. But I'm looking at my face right now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm eating a bunch of junk. I'm doing nothing. And my goal, I have a real goal now. Water. I'm starting slow. That's it.
Hey.
Not even
baby
walking
steps,
the dogs. The dogs hate me. They're like, can she go back to telework? Because at least we got to walk. And I'm like, on sabbatical.
But you bring up a good point, and I'm going to say this, is that everybody's just got to know it's okay to take a step back and just take a break, whether that's from work, whether that's from what you're doing, or whether that's from anything, because your mental health is very important. And if you're not right in the head, how right is your work going to be, or whatever it is that you're doing? Right. We talked about this on the last podcast. If you listened, how my head wasn't right and I was dealing with a lot of crap. And you just have to try to change your way of thinking. And some days that's easy, and some days that's very hard. And some days you can shake it very quickly, and some days it'll take you a week to shake it. And that in itself can become very depressing, as I could say for myself, because it became very depressing for me, because there was something that I could normally shake that I couldn't shake anymore. So if something as simple as changing your drinking of water routine, just like Linda was saying, makes you less stress, right? Or if you write down what you did that day, that was a great point. And I talk about this, about hunting the good stuff in others. Think about 3 good things that happened to you that day before you go to sleep, because it kind of sets your mind in a more positive state instead of always having that negative thinking trap. And I just think that's very important. I think sometimes people forget that, right? Sometimes it's the simplest thing, drink water, that could change your outlook of your life. But, as we get into that, and that's a good segue, Linda, you've been on the show, and I would ask anybody who would want to go back and rewatch. It was a 3-part series that we did with you. And I can share links back to that on my Facebook page tomorrow, so people can go back and watch it. It was a great show. And really what I want to do is, I told you that I wanted to do this show, and even though you're reluctant for me to do it, but I would like for everybody to go out to lowenslaw.org, and up in the upper right hand corner, I do believe, if I remember right, that you can donate from there. But Linda, I know people know why you started Lauren's Law, but if you wouldn't, and you don't have to go into great detail about it, because I want to show more about what Lauren's Law has been doing since its inception. If you want to know deep dive down into Linda's story and what went on with Lauren, you can go back and we watch those podcasts. So they are moving. But Linda, I'd just like for you to take over and kind of tell everybody who's listening who may not know your story or understand how Loren's Law. I'm sorry, I've been saying her name right. I'm sorry. Loren's Law came about. And because I'm really humbled by getting to know you these last couple of years, and Tori too, because I met you both at the same conference, actually, there in Maryland. But as I got to know you and everything that you've been through, how you turned such a tragedy into such a positive thing, and the work that you do for our children out there is amazing. And there's no telling the thousands of kids' lives that you have saved and that your foundation has saved over the years. I think since 2015, since it was started. And so if you wouldn't mind just kind of, giving the audience a kind of a background on how all that came about and kind of how to go from there. And I just really want it to be about, helping you, because you do a lot for the community. You do a lot for children. I know that, if somebody calls and are having issues and problems, because you helped out my housekeeper. I mean, her daughter had attempted, and before she even left my housekeeper's daughter attempted, and before she even left the hospital, you had her set up with counseling, and now she's doing great. My housekeeper's daughter, she's working at Home Depot, and she graduated high school, and her life completely changed. And I think had you not been there and did what you did, I think that outcome would have been completely different. I honestly believe that. And, Mary, my housekeeper, still cleans to my house this day, and I ask her every day how her daughters are doing, and they're doing great. Her oldest daughter lost a lot of weight, and she's just a completely different person now. And that all started that day that you set that up for them.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that they're still doing amazing. Well, Loren's Law. There are 2 laws in the state of Maryland, and they are named after my daughter, and my daughter's name is Loren. Because of those laws, a lot of individuals would always reach out to me. And to this very day, sometimes they don't realize that my name is Linda, and everybody just calls me Lauren. Everyone says Lauren, even though it's Loren. But no, I founded Loren's Law, and it was on the piggyback of House Bill 0947 and House Bill 0920. And Loren's laws are guided towards, 947 was for school counselors. Mm-hmm. And the way that it kind of started, short story, I lost my daughter Loren 3 weeks after her 15th birthday. So February 16, 2013, my daughter sent me out on an errand, and I came back. And when I came back, I found her, and, I had to do what I needed to do to cut her down and do CPR on her, and, try to keep her going until the medics arrived. And from that, everyone doesn't realize that there is a ripple effect when it comes to suicide. And Loren was only one out of many of her young friends. Loren had just turned 15, so she had friends that were 12, 13, 14, and then 15, 16, 17. So Loren was a confidant for all of her friends. And when she died from suicide, many of her friends were suicidal before she died. They didn't know that she was suicidal. Many confided in her. Loren never, I know the signs now, but every time I asked her if she was okay, she would always say she was okay. Yeah. When I lost Loren, a lot of her friends went on an extreme downward spiral. And to them, they tried to, reach out to their parents. They tried to, reach out to the school counselors. School counselors weren't seeing them. They weren't making appointments. Parents weren't really, supportive. Teachers, administrators in the school, and to an extent, the friends that didn't know Loren or weren't as close to Loren, to a point they started getting to, where they would ignore the, Loren's friends. And long story short, what happened was I realized that, there was a big question. And the question was, what did I miss? What did I miss? And what are all of these other adults missing, that, these kids, the stress that they're going through, whether it's something from home, divorce, domestic violence, homelessness, financial crisis for the family, things that these kids were going through. And on top of that, school, what's going on in school, the stress from school, the classes, the cliques, bullying, you name it, all of these different stressors that these kids were going through. All of that goes back to Loren's Law. These kids, no matter what I did, the parents, if I reached out, were ignoring me. The teachers were ignoring me. The school counselors were ignoring me, the administrators. And that's what taught me to become an advocate for youth, to be the voice, to make that change, to be the change, to sit there and tell youth that, please don't lose your voice. Don't listen to what other people are saying and hide. You matter. And you are going through stress. And I think what a lot of adults, especially me, 54, I kind of grew up with that, children should be seen, not heard.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the kids were doing that. A lot of the kids were being told, what you're going through, it doesn't matter. There are much worse people in this world that are, or many more people that are much worse off than you are. So you don't have a right to complain because you don't have your own home, or because you lost a parent, or because, your parents, didn't want you and dropped you off with your grandparents, or, something. It was, these children's feelings were being dismissed on all levels. And, it was, I tell everyone, I lost my daughter, but believe it or not, we were close. And she was always, talking to me. And I realized she used to ask me a lot of, weird questions, and I'd answer them. But I never realized until she died that a lot of her friends, came to me and said, Loren asked you questions for me. Yeah. And so I didn't realize I was helping my daughter's friends. I still lost her, but she saved a lot of her friends too. And I just felt like when she left, that there was no one else there for them. And they lost, their confidant, they lost their friend, and no one was there to listen to them. And no adult was listening to them. And that's how I started the foundation. I piggybacked off of the law that required that school counselors have to take continuing education credits in mental health and behavioral wellness in order to be able to assist kids in crisis. Because when I called my daughter's school counselor, they didn't know. I gave them 4 out of the 5 signs that Loren was in crisis when I reached out to them. All of these kids, Loren dying from suicide. One of the many triggers that an individual who suffers from depression or suicidal ideation is losing someone to suicide. And so, of course, the school, dropped the ball. They weren't there for the kids where Loren was in high school. Those kids started suffering. And that's pretty much what I still do. All kids reach out to me, and some of them reach out to me for their friends, and they reach out to me for their relatives. And, so it's when a child does not feel as though that they are being heard. And again, it just means adults are not listening and these kids are in crisis. And before they decide that they want to go in a corner and hide because they have been told that their feelings don't matter and what they're going through doesn't matter because they are the adults and what these kids are going through doesn't compare to them. So to shun these children and put them and shove their feelings, down and tell them that what they're suffering through isn't real is one of the reasons why these kids are growing up to be adults that are going through crisis, because stress builds up and builds up like dominoes until it comes crashing down. And the only way that we can help these kids to grow and live their best lives and live happy and as carefree as they can is starting in their childhood, so that they can carry it to adulthood.
I know that, when I met you, when I'm not going to go in detail about my older son's abuse that he suffered from his mom, but you and getting to know you and just, you give me your parenting tips, but just learning how to listen to what your child is saying and watching what they are doing and paying attention. I know everybody's busy out there. We got a lot of things. I'm a single, I'm a stay-at-home dad right now. So I have, Lloyd at home and he's 8. And of course, Junior's off to college now. So our house has gone through a big transition, as you stated, when we talked on the phone the other day. But I think, and I didn't even realize that, right? I didn't notice that until you said it, right? I was like, oh yeah, well, she is right. Because now where I would rely on Junior to go get Lloyd or do all these things, I don't have that backup plan now. But I think for a lot of parents, especially coming out of COVID, and a lot of kids had a huge, horrible time with it. And so did a lot of parents. I mean, and like you said, a lot of these parents grow up in not such a great place, and now they're having children of their own. And then when you have something like COVID, it just exacerbates and makes it even worse. But one thing I was shocked about, and when I got to know you, is the fact that your daughter was seeing a counselor at school, and those counselors weren't keeping up on their credentialing. And actually, when I first met you, my older brother was the superintendent of the school, and that's the first thing I asked him. I think we just finished. I don't even think I even walked out of that conference hall there a couple of years ago, and I called him and asked him. He says, "Are your counselors keeping up on their credentialing?" Because I wanted to know, because I didn't realize that, and I was shocked at what you were seeing there in Maryland, as far as what these counselors were not taking, but were taking other than what they were supposed to have been taking. And so that's why you saw the need to pass Lorenz law in order to, and it's silly, right? Why do we have to pass a law for somebody who has a professional degree or whatever,
right?
And you have to keep up with that credential. Am I wrong, Tori? Right? You have to keep up with credentials,
right?
I mean,
a doctor and a lawyer, they have to take continuing education credits. It's mandatory in order for
what I learned though.
Right.
So I can't speak on school counselors. I have a different license, so I know because I'm licensed in a state where it's mandatory to take continuing education to be a mandatory reporter. I don't know, right? Because it's so ridiculous. It's state by state. And that's super scary to me. That's not a criticism of the world. Again, I like to speak from like where I am. So I'll be the narcissist and, back to me, because that's all I know is how that impacts me. I don't know if I didn't have an outline of what I needed to do. The classes that I take usually they're of interest to me.
Yes.
So if I'm working in traumatic brain injury, I'm going to take those. Right. I don't work with small children. I'm not going to be doing play therapy, right? I might, I don't know. I took a continuing education about working with service dogs. I have one. I don't work with him. Wasn't part of his training, really, to get him going. So I learned a whole lot. You know what that was? That was about the laws, ADA laws. So I guess I'm sad and baffled and a bunch of other negative things that I don't want to use profanity in saying. But I'm thinking,
go ahead.
if you're a school counselor,
Mm-hmm.
then you might want to do what you're doing, right? And that's, again, nobody's telling me other than these few classes, and I have to submit every 2 years, and you have to keep records and do all this.
Mm-hmm.
It blows my mind, given my narcissistic perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm made to do stuff that I don't do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I still have to take little kid classes. Like, how do I talk to a little kid? How do I talk to, engage a child? I don't work with children.
Right.
I don't. But the population probably has a kid in it. I don't know. I tie it in so I can own it. But there's other things that I might be interested in, right? Mm-hmm. Working with folks that are visually impaired. Oh, mm-hmm. I don't. Mm-hmm. But okay, if they came out with rules, all right, you need to do a play therapy.
Right.
I'm going to do it because I've got to. But I'm floored listening to you right now, because if your population is children, mm-hmm. you should probably be proficient and not be taking horticulture therapy. I don't know. And I'm going all in here. So I'm
go all in. That's what we do.
Go for it.
But I'm floored, right? So you don't know mm-hmm. until something, I don't even have the words to even act like I can speak on your grief, because I'm listening to your conversation. You haven't mentioned your loss. You're doing the loss of everyone. You went out and had I'm going to, I don't think you said, I'm going to do a foundation. I think you were probably, if I was, mad as hell. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that this sucks beyond suck. Right. Mm-hmm. So that would be my lunatic. I would just be giving people for bail money. Like, I'm going to that school. You got my back because I'm going in. Like, let somebody say something stupid to me. I won't have I'll lay on the sword. Like, I would be a violent volcano waiting to get some, right? Because it's my kid and I'm not always the most mentally balanced individual when it hits to home. I can help you. Me? I don't know what to do. So I kept waiting for you to say something about you. And I don't know if you want that feedback, but all you were saying was, I have to talk to this child. I have to change looking at these laws. And I think anyone listening to, wow, what a crusader. I'm over here going, I have a 22-year-old and she gave me a flipping turn. She turned 14. I used to say I could probably throw grenades at her and she'd take a test. And then she turned 14 or 15. We moved here and she went out of this extremely protective environment that I had for her because I feared everything for her. I have sons too, feared for them. I was a lunatic. I am a lunatic, still am. I don't know if I could have been on a podcast, dress myself, ate, breathe. I don't know. And you went on to a whole nother universe of helping and saving. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just, wow. And you never once said anything thus far about your life, your tragedy. I didn't hear that. Cliff, I don't know what I missed. I was waiting.
No, but she went into great detail on that on her first 3 podcasts. She went into her trauma in the military and other things. But
I'm so sad.
I didn't want her to go back through that again because it's hard to talk about. And so people can go back and watch that podcast. If
I hope they see this one where you went right into crusading, right? And I guess I'm just like, as a therapist, I guess I'm floored. And you're right. Nobody should make somebody do something, right? When I started working in drug and alcohol, I hadn't worked in drug and alcohol. I worked with some cases, but now it's primary. I had to learn what the word Suboxone meant. I had to learn all these things. I had to do a deep dive. I don't think I'm special. I think I just make common damn sense, right? I don't know. I have an uncle who's a cop.
Yeah.
I have a lot of uncles who are cops. I grew up in a cop world. I would be really sad if one of them said, yeah, I don't really carry a gun anymore. And, I had some training and the last time I shot a gun was, when I was 20. How old are you now? Oh, I'm in my 50s. Okay. Right? You know, I don't even know. I don't even have my driver's license. But I'm supposed to get in a cruiser. Like, I can't. I can't even put that together. What would justify that?
Yeah.
I want to know that part. Is that another podcast? I want to know what words, verbiage, language they were speaking to even begin to say the in front of you, let alone.
You know what? Hey, Linda, why don't you talk about that? Because I think it's important. Because I think a lot of parents out there put a lot of trust in school and counselors and knowing that these people know what they're doing. And you found out quite the opposite. I mean, let's just throw it out there. I mean, you went through hell when you shone light on something they were doing wrong, right?
I did.
And nobody likes that. And you shouldn't have went through that as a grieving mother who just lost a child, who found out this counselor had their head in their 4 point of contact and wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing, and able to go ahead and maybe better help your daughter with what she was going through, instead of taking an effing knitting class or a cooking class, which is probably something they already effing knew how to do anyway. And then when you shine light on it, all of a sudden you're the bad person. I'm like, and I know you and Linda, I know you and Troy are a lot alike, because I know what you did when that happened, and your anger and stuff. And it's probably a good thing you both weren't both friends, because you both be holding each other back, trying to get in that school. But
no, I would run out front. I'll take the hits. I'll block, get in the building, but I guess for me, when I do look at this, right, so I have to like calm down and breathe, because I know when things happen, gosh forbid, in the world I'm in, if I'm in a hospital, they're doing a deep dive, I already know they're coming for me. Meaning, I don't think that's the intent, but they have to, that's the job, to rip up stuff, to look for, and it's not, I'm going to get you. It's to make sure that I did the best I could do, and then use that as a teachable moment.
Yeah.
What can we change, right? That it doesn't have to be laws. It could be, again, it's so state by state, county by county, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's a problem. I have to go and reapply if I want to practice in any other state. What about reciprocity? Like, make it high, make me take 40 classes. Why do I got to keep running all over the place with different sets of standards?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean,
that just blows my mind. That I'm so curious. Can we do that? I want to know, what were they doing? I'm so fascinated.
Some of them were taking knitting classes.
You're lying.
Nah, no, I'm not lying. Some of them were taking knitting classes. And there were, there are thousands. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So like self-help, but not professional growth.
No, not a lot of them. There were some that went out there and they would spend their money, and they would go and, take as many behavioral health classes that they could, so that, because they did see that these kids, they saw the differences in these kids. They saw these
professional.
Kids.
They're professional.
They are, because wonderful, beautiful kids that would come in and they would be very happy. And then the next thing you know, these kids, became withdrawn and, stopped caring about themselves and how they looked. They didn't care about their grades. And Loren wasn't like that. And, it was, in the first 3 weeks after I lost Loren, that is actually an abyss. It is a very dark hole that I do not remember. And I mean, I can remember all of the, 100 kids or so that came in and out of my house. But I really don't, I don't really recall everything. And, after that, it was, when I started, I had one mom who came knocking on my door, yelling and screaming at me, asking me, "What did you do to my son?" And I was like, "What? What did you do to my son? He came home crying. What did you do to him?" I don't know. Loren died. So I don't think I did anything to your son. Wow. And so it wasn't, me. So it was, I went through, a lot of anger stages, with, other people being so angry at me for, losing my child. And,
you just made it real though, right?
Right.
You made it real that, that things happen. I know, and this is not a comparison, but I get brought back to places, and my daughter, we lived in a rural place, and I don't know if you can tell that I'm Black or not. I've got a bright light here. I don't know. So, okay, good. I like it. I like where you're going with this. So I know that you're not visually impaired. And willing to say it, right? So I lived, and I like to say I lived among the Amish. Right. They were there. They were the only people there. And yeah. So I took my daughter to a school, and I'd moved, and I'm divorced, but from my husband, and he bought a house online. It's crazy. A military looks good. When the realtors take you in, they take you in like the nice part, right?
Right.
And that wasn't so nice. And I get there like, oh, great. So I run around, I go to a school, and it's funny what schools do. So the school was apologizing for not being a blue ribbon school. Like, let's start with that. So that makes me want to definitely sign up my daughter. So so of course I blamed my then husband and made him write a check. So she went to a small, and I became a super Christian because it was a Christian school. So I sent her to this school, off the chain, amazing, right? Everybody knew everybody. I played maybe 5 volleyball games in my life. I became the volleyball coach. So, right? Everybody knew everybody. If you and our kids were there, I don't even know if I like you. You don't even know if you like me, but we're at each other's house because we're living in rural, Pennsylvania, and we're going to hang out, and we're going to do stuff, and we're going to be besties. And I love you, sis. Right. Based on the kids, based on this tiny little universe that everyone created. Right. And you just felt the love. A child moved in, a new kid started going to the school, amazing parents. And they were co-parenting, divorce. So I was parenting on my own, and I was married, ha, ha, ha. So I was like, oh, they're cool. And I started, we started dabbling in the, friendship. We're going to love each other, beginning of it. Right. Their child was getting sick. I think they were like from Florida or something. And so they were coming up here, big change and everything. And kids just, the salute, daycare salute and all that. Right. And so they, all the kids were together. I got a call from someone that I knew at the school that worked at the school, and it wasn't anything formal. And it was, Zaria's in, let's call him Little Billy. Zaria's in, my daughter is in Little Billy's class. And I said, okay. And she said, I'm just taking it upon myself, and I hope the parents don't get angry, but I've just been calling around to some of the parents where I know the kids play with him, and he passed away. And it was about 7. And I don't think, you talk about what I don't think I asked why, but I didn't go into any kind of suspicious anything. I just thought, oh my gosh, the school, with the support of the family, was able to tell everyone. And you know what it was? Cough medicine.
He OD'd on cough medicine?
It was a little kid. They gave it to him because he needed it. And I don't even like to say the word, right? Because I'm always like, when we say that, I'm saying he had too much, or he had some that he shouldn't have. I don't know. After that, I became obsessed, right? I don't think I ever gave my kids cough medicine. Fast forward 1,000 years, I met Cliff. Cliff, remember you were telling me some hypoallergenic something?
Yeah, I still take it. Yeah, we take it. Yeah.
Give newborns. Yeah. So I swear to you, all that time, that's so weird. I never gave my kids that. I tried everything, homeopathic, praying, I don't know, blessing them with swords. I don't, driving fast in my car, sticking their heads out the window, all this stuff. I was so deathly afraid of cough medicine. I grew up sucking on Robitussin bottles. That explains a lot, right? Everybody. And then also because of families having to work, and we live in the United States, and work. Right. We send kids to school sick. So the good parents, like me sometimes, I'm keeping my kid home, but you can't keep doing that indefinitely when they're little. Again, they're all snotting it up pre-COVID. Yeah. So, right. And I could see myself in that.
Yeah.
Could I have given my daughter or anybody, if I was watching your kids, sis, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give them some cold medicine, everybody's going to bed. I mean, I wasn't trying to knock them out. It's just that's what we thought. You know, I don't know any parent that could not have identified with that. But again, when we talk about suicide, there's such damn shame. Like your daughter is less than, not as something, and then something with you, instead of like the Robitussin thing. I don't even know if it was but I'm just saying, like, that was so benign, but it wasn't. I felt guilty about everything. And after that, if my kid even, you know, in the car, you're staying home tomorrow.
Yeah, no.
I'm not, you know, it freaks you out.
Yeah, a lot of parents,
I wasn't there for
a
the
lot of
negative
parents did not
feedback.
feel guilty. A lot of parents did not feel guilty about what their kids were going.
Well, because it was you, right? It was you and it was your daughter. So I'm going to make that about them and not that.
These kids were reaching out to me and I was trying to reach out to the parents. I got all of the combativeness and, you know, and I
can't even wrap my head around that.
And I'll go back to, you know, where you said these, you know, this poor young child, his parents gave the okay for the school to send out the notification.
Yeah.
It was for their own good. You know, they wanted everyone to know, listen, I lost my child because the dosage of medication, over-the-counter medication that I gave to my child caused us to lose our child. We want to share that with you because we think that that's something that is important for you to know as a parent.
Do you know they didn't do that?
They didn't do that? But see, I did that.
Right. So
I did that.
Just so you know this, nobody even fathomed to blame, right? Like when you said overdose, I had to stop, right?
Right.
I'm after all these years, right? What, 25, I'm or 15 years, I'm loyal, right? I don't even remember their names at this point, but I'm right. I didn't want to say, oh, wait, overdose, because I'm like, oh, I don't think we knew it was cough medicine like down the line, but no, I don't think anybody even thought to blame them. It was just,
it wasn't even a blame. It was the parent. The parent did not succumb to their grief in themselves. They wanted they wanted to inform. They wanted to not share their grief, not look for your grief. They didn't want you to pity them. They didn't want you to feel sorry for them. What they wanted to do is they wanted you to know that their child, that
happened,
precious to them, this happened. And if it happened to me, it can happen to you. Well, I did the exact same thing.
Yeah, but you didn't have a whole church community and even Amish people that don't drive showing up in your yard with a buggy, giving you fresh veggies, and everybody praying for you on the lawn, right? I mean, I'm trying to tell you, this was, it stayed with us forever. My daughter still remembers that. And what she remembers about that community was that we had a community. And there was like 4 other people that looked like us.
Yeah.
Right.
And
it was such love and support. Yeah. And when it's suicide, it is the loneliest.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you gotta, and then you gotta go through idiot speak, which I'm probably doing now, and I pray I'm not. It's like, you know, you have the extreme, right? You have fools like me that are like, I just want to do everything. What can I do? Can I write a check? Can I become something? Can I do something? What do I do? Or you have folks that see you, I can see you and me. And I gotta get off this call right now. Cause instead of, I don't know, you gotta respect it. Cause I just don't think I'm so special that I think something's happening, it's definitely gonna happen. Yeah. Right. So I wish there was more like neurotic people around you that could like look at you, see themselves, and know that their child's like these kids probably were in your house. Like you were real. Your daughter was a real person.
Oh yeah.
And now you're trying to make her, and you're trying to invisible it, or
yeah. A lot of my daughter, it was like for her 8th grade graduation from middle school. You know, my daughter asked me, she said, she's like, Mom, after graduation, all of the kids want to go to TGI Fridays. Can we, you know, can I go? And I was like, of course, sweetheart, you can go.
Yeah.
And I took her there. I said, what time are all the kids going to get there? And I took her there, and she said, oh, we're going to start meeting there around like 5 or 6 o'clock. There must have been about 14 kids there, and I was the only parent. And they just graduated from the 8th grade. So you're talking, 12 and 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
At a restaurant by themselves. And I was the only parent because I never dropped my kid off.
Yeah.
If I couldn't be there, I wasn't going to drop my kid off.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything when
Right. Somebody, even if somebody had to be there that you felt comfortable with, if you decided to leave, right, with a time to come back, and
by like 10 o'clock that night, I worked that day. I went to my daughter's graduation. I took my daughter to this place, and at 10 p.m. I'm driving around taking a bunch of kids home because they're
10 p.m. for middle schoolers.
Yeah. So I mean, and one of the things that my kids always told me is that I was, probably one of the nicest people in the world. And yeah, I never thought that I was always so nice because, I was in the military. I was a single mom. I went through a lot in my life, and, it's not like things were easy for me. But the one thing that I knew when I had my kids is that my life was no longer mine.
Yeah.
My kids were spoiled, but my kids were good.
Yeah.
My kids deserved everything and anything that I had to provide or give to them.
Yeah.
And no one, not even their biological fathers, laid a hand on my kids.
Yeah.
So I was the one that brought them into this world, and the only one that's going to pop them is going to be me. Yeah. And that was it. So, I turn around and I'm just like, for when I lost Loren, and I told the school, please, I'm giving you permission. Something is going on. There's a bunch of kids, they're suicidal. Yeah. It has something to do with losing Loren, and, please send robo emails and robo calls, and tell these families these resources are out there, and to keep an eye on their kids.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
So and there was nothing. There was nothing for you, right? The school wasn't.
Oh no. The school hated me. The principal, Darryl Williams, Dr. Jones, he hated me. He told me that he and his staff already know what to do, and they don't need my help.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And
cooking class.
Oh yeah.
That blew your mind. How do you not need help? Everybody, even if they were the best school, like the school district I'm in, they have too much, right? I can't even keep up with this stuff. But
well, you know why? Because
I can't imagine where I am now. Them not knowing that they're paranoid professionals enough to know that there would be something, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think, but I have to say, it probably came from the intervention or reaction that for all the families like you that came before, I don't care what school district it is, I don't care where you are. If the leadership isn't open, I don't care. Look, they didn't have to like you.
Yeah.
They don't have to like the situation, but on a basic human fundamental level, you needed and deserved, everything, anything, everything, right? Because you can roll up in your house crying with you, and that's not an admission of guilt, right?
Yeah.
That's just saying,
that's being
I'm here, and whatever I can do, right? Like in all of our fantasy of everything, like it doesn't have to be like for me as a professional, clinician. Sometimes, my reaction when something goes down, and even in my early days wasn't, oh, I'm in trouble. It was, what happened? What's my part in it? You know, and I've had crappy supervisors over the years that were that cover my ass stuff. And I could not stay with them because be around them. I don't want to talk to you. I don't respect you. And I got to roll out because you couldn't even get that right.
Right.
That's a basic thing is to just be there. Right. You know,
I think for a lot of people, you know,
it's selfish
school wise, when something like that happens, right. You know, when your daughter completed suicide, I think, you know, they just wanted it to go away. And they wanted to just kind of say this happened and we're just going to move on. We'll be in counselors for a couple of days and just going to go away and move on. But you wouldn't allow that to happen because you were getting those phone calls from those kids that were upset and you knew what was going on and you knew what was going to come.
Oh yeah.
If this school and this doctor didn't do what he was supposed to do, and thank God that you were able to stay strong in your tragedy to try to keep those other kids, because, you know, they always talk about copycat suicides and they did this in the military, right? If somebody else completes suicide, then this person's going to do it. Well, I guarantee you, just like you said earlier on, Linda, there was other problems and they were probably suicidal probably prior to the suicide that happened, right? And everybody missed it. Yes. Okay. And all you were trying to do was to keep somebody else's parent going through what you just went through. And I would have been the same way. And I would not have had any idea how to go out and get that law changed.
You would have scared the hell out of me.
If you're just tuning in, Linda's here with us. She's from Lorenz Law. Please go out to their website, lorenzlaw.org. I shared that on Facebook. Right up right-hand corner, you can donate. She does so much for kids and community. But how did you, if the parents listening, right, and let's say they're in a district or a school district and they're, or anywhere, and they want to find out, are the counselors keeping up with credentialing? Or if they're not, how do I go in and go about getting that law passed like you did? What did you do to make that happen? I'm just kind of curious to know. And I think a lot of people after listening probably would be curious on how did you get that law change? And I know that since you've had the law change, you also offer training also, and I want you to talk about that, the training you do for the teachers and people out there, and how you try to make it as least intrusive to them, because I think that's important to know, you know, as we're having this conversation. So if you wouldn't,
it was kind of a long road as far as, you know, what I had to do. I got a lot of doors slammed in my face. I sent a lot of emails. I was pacified and provided an audience with the superintendent of the county in one of the 24 counties in Maryland. So in my county, I was given the audience for the local Board of Education and speaking with the superintendent. And so I went up the chain of command. I went from the school counselors, the principal, the student services director to the local Board of Education. And then after being provided an audience, they in turn told Lorenz high school principal, because remember, she never made it past freshman year. They basically told him to meet with me and to listen to what I, had to say. And I wanted to get I wanted a mental health event to be done in the school every year. I wanted the kids to be, made aware. I wanted the parents, the family, and the communities. And then it died down. And then I went through it again. And it was the first year that Dr. Maxwell was the superintendent in Prince George's County Schools. And I went through it all over again.
So this was
all within a year
that came in.
Yeah, there was a new superintendent that came in from the time that Loren died, and a year later there were two different superintendents. Okay. And the one going out told the principal that he needed to get with me and to make changes as far as sharing information, and then that never happened. The new superintendent came in, and things still didn't change. So I was going through that literal ball all over again. I was going around that wheel all over again. And yeah, I got on the phone call. I was able to finally get a meeting with Dr. Maxwell, and it was a 15-minute phone call, and he was late to the phone call. And then when he got on the phone, he, I went in to explain, what I wanted to try to do to increase awareness with youth mental health and suicide prevention in Prince George's County. And he literally said to me, mental health is not the number one thing that I'm thinking about. The only thing that I'm thinking about right now that's number one is violence in the school. Mm-hmm. And, when he finished saying what he said, I thanked him for his time. I also advised him that if you want to control violence in the school, maybe you should start with youth mental health. Yeah. And I just thanked him again for his time, and that was it. And then, after that, it had been almost a year, literally been over a year that I couldn't get anybody to listen to me, to do anything. And it was, I had kids being bullied. I had kids, writing suicide notes, and there was just so many kids. And it was just like, where are your parents? Where are your loved ones? Where are all these people who love you, to tell you that they love you and to stay? And finally, I got fed up, and I was like, okay, if nobody wants to listen to me, if everyone wants to keep slamming all these doors in my face, then maybe legislation can do something about it. And I went and I researched, and I picked 4 individuals that were related to family and law in legislation. And I took all of those dozens and dozens of emails, videos, suicide notes, everything. And I compressed it into a file, and I sent it off to those 4 individuals. And I was like, there's so many kids that want to die, and it's a ripple effect from my daughter. And I am broken. I can't mourn my child. I can't cry for my child. I can't get anybody to help me to do anything for someone else's child when my child is already fucking dead. Yeah. I'm not fighting for my kid. My kid's gone. I'm fighting for everyone else's kids, and no one cares. No one wants to listen to me. Why? Because my daughter died from suicide? Like she's the only one? Nope. Guess what? She's not the first, and she's not going to be the last. And sure enough, you have 7, 8, 9-year-olds dying from suicide. And people seem to think that it's because of social media. Yeah. There's so many. I'm like, just, the community, we can talk about, a child having cancer and a child having heart disease or diabetes, thyroid disease. We can talk about, anything. A child gets into a car accident and becomes, physically incapable of doing certain things. We can talk about all of those things, but guess what? Every single disease out there, it all comes back full circle to mental health. Yeah. But yet we can talk about everything except mental health before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. So when people say, oh my gosh, suicide is on the rise since COVID, no.
Right.
Suicide
we're hearing about
on the rise before COVID. It's just that nobody gave a damn. But
because it's hitting everybody.
COVID, right. Now
it's hitting everyone.
Everybody, oh my God, I never suffered anxiety until COVID. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
See, what happened?
You didn't know you had no tools.
You didn't.
Until COVID hit.
No.
Right? You didn't have a plan.
No.
You just got thrown off your game. And now
Right.
there's no baseline.
A good example, I never had anxiety until COVID. No, that's not true. See, what
Right.
happened was you had social events, you had going out shopping, you had going out to lunch and dinner and hanging out with your friends, or going to the dog park and taking your dog to the dog. See, you had something to do. The minute anxiety was hanging up on you, you had somewhere that you can direct and deflect what was truly happening. But when you're in your house and you can't deflect, you have no choice but to deal with who was in the mirror.
Yeah, and it's confirmed everywhere. I mean, I am a sought, you know, I'm so sought after now. Like people are just seeking me out. I told you I'm on sabbatical. I've never had this many recruiters call me. I feel like I'm in IT. Right? I feel like you know, back in the day, if you were occupational physical therapist, woo, you got an incentive bonus. Social workers, right? I'm telling you, I did always specialized stuff. So I never had to look for clients. So I think my disposition now is that I don't do telemental, you know.
Right.
I know.
Right.
But the crazy part is that everybody's doing it and I'm blown away. And so while you know, then I become funky after that, because I'm just like, I just don't think you should leave college and start talking to people. Like, you need a little, yeah. Well, my thing is, you know, Tori, shut up. What do you care? Right. There's someone alive talking to someone they might try to keep alive. Like, shut up and stop being judgmental. Not everybody has to be, you know, fancy in a building. But I think the climate is saying exactly that. And I agree. I don't like when somebody says, oh, it's because of COVID. No, honey, hush. You had some tools. And how about this? The absent parents that weren't, they weren't with you. Yeah. They're now being forced to teach their kid how to read and stuff, right? I had people say to me, if it wasn't for Riesling, I don't know if I could have got through it. And I'm like, great. So you were drunk teaching your kid, right? Seriously. So I am, you know, pretty together on a Thursday or Friday. What's today? Tuesday? Is today Monday? No, it's Tuesday. Okay. So, right. And it's because I'm a bum. I told you this, right? You know, it's like, whatever. I'm on Teams call.
Hey, you can have Ritzlin on the show. We don't care.
I'm on a Zoom call because I'm trying to be educational and do something for myself and people. But I wouldn't be on a Zoom call right now because I'm not out there anymore like that. I got to return though. Remember, 3 years. But the whole crazy part is I've become like popular.
Right.
Right. Like, you know, people like me. Now I am a subject matter on all mental health. Hence probably why I'm on this podcast. I might be low-lying fruit otherwise, right? But now, I mean, everybody's doing therapy that I know that told me I don't really like doing that. Good luck with you, Tori. I teach. Yeah. I'm in research. Yeah.
A lot of people do that.
Holistic touch something. Well, you can't touch anybody in COVID, so now you're talking about it.
Right.
It's right. Goat yoga. Can't do goat yoga because I think they're quarantined.
Once you go yoga, you don't go back.
It's, you know.
So Linda,
I'm open to everything, but I think the whole part of this craziness is I love the street credibility now, right? Like I got swagger. Like, why? What you want? Yeah, I'm a clinical therapist. How about that? Boom.
Well, I think that's good because here's the thing: there's a shortage of social workers, and now you shine a light on it, and now people want to become social workers, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a good thing.
I lived with a COVID nurse. All right.
Yeah.
They're making $5,000 million per quarter in a day, right? Yeah. They're getting per diem. They're the coolest thing on the block, rightly so. I'm not saying anything about it. But when somebody would be like, oh, you know, at the time your significant other is a nurse, praise God and Allah and everybody, and thank God for the world. And don't you feel blessed to just breathe this air next to him? I'm like, I'm a social worker. I've been on the line the whole damn time, right? My cop friends, we've been here. And, you know, that's just me being crazy. But the point was, man, when social workers are almost thank you for your service, this is a beautiful world we're about to get in. But damn, why did it have to be a pandemic? Why did people have to die before we start talking? Right? I got the gift of gab. I tell people all damn day about stuff. But you know what's crazy? Your child isn't with you and you are the good parent. I can't imagine what it's like for a child that didn't have a you, doesn't have a you, may never have a you. How the hell are they supposed to do it? Because schools can't do everything, right?
Yeah.
But when a school wasn't even willing, from what you're saying, look, I don't care. Somebody sent something to my Instagram talking about something. I'll be like, yeah, whatever. You know, call her and say this shit to her.
Right.
I dare you. And then I'll be at a house there to clean you up.
Yeah.
But my thing with this is it's all retrospect now, right? Yeah. Like social workers valued, and then moms like you, parents like you, shining a light, spotlight, everything. There's walks, there's runs, there's shirts, there's this. But it had to get to that. And that's the part that sucks. And I never want anybody to forget that. I'm so happy to be on the call with you. I don't feel worthy to be sitting here because I'm like, yeah, I could never be you. I'm just so thankful you're you, and I'm happy that I get to mouth off. And I hope one day you bring me to a meeting when you need like me and Cliff to be like, oh, damn, no. Because, you know, I'm like saying we come in a pack.
We just need, the three of us need to get together and get a conference and just have people come listen to us.
Well, you know what? I would be down. Let's do a think tank.
But hey,
Let's
you know,
do
Linda can provide
something in
suicide prevention
education.
training because that's one of the things her foundation does. And if
I
Put me down.
you jump into that and tell us a little bit about that here as we.
Well, I became, in order to, you know, truly be able to understand, you know, what it is and that, you know, what the tools are and what, you know, anyone in this world, whether you're a child or an adult, needs to do is, you know, to understand mental health. And the only way that you can do it is if you actually trained in it. So I became a QPR instructor trainer and, you know, holding, you know, training sessions and doing QPR training in order to provide suicide awareness training and helping. And even, you know, working and partnering with other organizations and collaborating with other organizations in order to provide them the training so that they can provide their workers, their staff, their volunteers, their advocates, and people who really can't afford to do anything to be able to understand. So it's important to me to make sure that, you know, that the community has the resources. The parents have the resources to be able to understand, to know the signs, to be able to reach out to the resources. And, you know, I say it all the time, I keep the resources on my webpage, on my website. And, you know, I'm constantly posting and sharing things. It's, you know, even when a lot of people don't realize this. I know Cliff knows this, but, you know, a lot of people don't realize this. There isn't a day I don't cry. There isn't a day I don't miss my child.
Yeah.
You know,
I get goosebumps when you say that.
It's something that I've learned to live with. I walk with it. It's an everyday part of me and it's never going away. I'm never going to feel better. And, you know, I have one child here and I have one child gone. Yeah. And I used to always tell people my greatest fear in life was dying and leaving my girls. And now I no longer have that fear. Yeah. I have one daughter here and I have one that I could be with. Yeah. So I just want to make sure that in the time that I am here, I am not a saint and I am not Mother Teresa. However, I am a good person and I always strive to be the best that I can be. And I hope that everyone else can strive to do the same. And if they did, the communities would gather together. Yeah. And they would actually do things and do more to be there, to be aware, to not shun and not, you know, cause shame for others who are suffering and
or hurt the families.
It does.
Right?
It does.
Right? Because when you're not, this hurt you and this is your narrative when you should have and deserve the opportunity to have a very different narrative, right? Because even on a good platform with great support, you being you, I'm just, you know, getting to know you, learn a little bit about what you're doing. I can't imagine you would have sat still and said, well, everybody said it was cool, so it's cool. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I think that you're such a force that you would have done that, but it wouldn't have just been okay, better than you know, I'm shoving your face in it. If you just could have come together to then create what you've created. It didn't have to be so damn punitive, right?
Right.
And that's the part that just pisses me off. I have a question for you because I want to do something after this. I will keep my friends up till midnight. So are you now doing trainings? And I'm sorry, I didn't like stalk you properly. I was fooling around with my water earlier, but and I think I'm a fill-in. So I didn't have anything. But like right now I'm obsessed with trying to figure out, do you do trainings now for teachers?
I actually, the one thing about Lorenz Law is myself, I've not done any more trainings for children. I mean, for teachers. I did partner and I did a collaboration with the Maryland State Department of Education where we trained 90, 90 members as far as becoming QPR instructor trainers so that they themselves can go out and give the training. And, but as far as me, I have not done one lately, but it's
not even just that, but just getting out there, right? Because I have friends that are teachers that have quit, that don't want anything to do with it because of what they've been through with how COVID was handled. Some of my friends who stuck around had support, had a superintendent or a school district with backbones that set that standard of this is what we're going to do. And then you had a choice what you wanted to do, but they had a standard to save the lives of the teachers that were dying. And so my father was a superintendent for Boston Public Schools. He's retired. And I'm like, right now, I'm like, I gotta call him. So I'm now trying to figure out,
I'm calling my brother. Right
I'm calling everybody. My brother did my logo that I couldn't get on here tonight. So I think the whole thing, like I feel is, what do I do with my letters behind my name and some other stuff that looks good on a brochure? How do I engage with you moving forward? And then how do I get other people to do it? Because I'm being a bum right now, but how do I turn off Netflix to go after some teachers, right? Because I used to do assist training, right? But now I just do suicide prevention training, and I have fun in different ways, and I never know what's going to come out of my mouth, and it's fun. We cry, we laugh, we get Kubler phases, Kubler-Ross's phase of death and death. We get through it. But I found that people want to be engaged. Now, if there's continuing education for them, now I'm just stuck with that. Like
when it comes to continuing education credits, there are, like, for example, Hood College, Loyola, Goucher. There are multiple universities that actually teach Lorenz Law, the accreditations that are required in order for any individual. It doesn't have to be just a school counselor, anyone who wants to take or learn about Lorenz Law or the requirements that will comply with anyone who needs to have that certification or obtain a certification.
So like the students going to school, are they required in the state of Maryland to go through your workshop colloquium class?
There are counselors, all the counselors and everyone that are required that want to become a school counselor or they require that certification. Yes, there are.
Wow, I have to stalk you. Oh, that's just so badass. Oh, I love you. I do. Wow. You're like, you know what you are? You're that, I say that I'm a beacon, right? My brother said that, and I'm a lighthouse analogy, but you have the Phoenix cliff, right?
Yeah.
You need to just relinquish that because you
just
came
ship it right on over to
it.
Linda. Can use it anytime. It's my registered trademark.
You came out of it, and again, I am an amateur in this realm. I even told Cliff, you sure? Because I don't even know what you guys are talking about tonight. But I hope that you're receiving the absolute respect I can dig everywhere and give you, because I was like, wow, you're doing it. So the only thing I can say, I'm a joiner, look at, is that whatever I could offer in a realistic way, I would love to support your organization professionally and what I can do, because, social workers and teachers, we're all there, nurses, and I've been telling Cliff, I really want to do a continuing education, and I've done it before, and I've gone after professional organizations, NASW, you know, APA, all these different groups. Some people were teachers just because they were teaching and my friends and came. But when we call something, right, when it's this particular training, sometimes people shy away. But then when you throw out continuing education, my group, we know we have to do it. And we try to pick stuff that we like.
Right.
So I'm trying to make it where you're not, and today, and then you got to stay on. You can't even cheat and go do dishes. You got to stay in the room and it's boring. It sucks. And so I think folks are craving more interactive, real life story, ways of connecting. You know, the chat rooms are always amazing because you're like mouthing off and then somebody reads your question and you feel like a rock star and important. So I think that the media has that. Yeah. And I just love what you created, and they did not shut you up. You came back in like, I don't kind of need to teach the principal because I'm just changing the laws. You know, I'll be back for you and you and future generations. Oh yeah, I love it. I love all of it. I just wish to God that your daughter, well, she's here, but I wish she was sitting next to you. That's what you deserve. And I love, wow, I don't even know you. And I'm just so proud of your superhero-ness.
Yeah.
Because you're just, I'm gonna like tear up. I mean,
well, you know, they have a TV show. They have a TV show out about me. I don't know if you've seen it lately. It's called She-Hulk.
Oh, I got you.
You had me going first. I was like, I know there's a TV show about her. Now my ADHD mind's going like, 6,000 miles a minute.
I'm serious. Like, Cliff, your podcast, I'm telling you, I'm taking this to another level. I'm going to just start randomly sending it to people I don't even know.
Oh, yeah.
That are stupid enough to accept a friend thing or something. But just everyone. I just, wow. I just haven't met anybody like you in a really long time. And I'm just so thankful
to be in
this moment. It just forces me to figure out how do I help? How do I stay alert? You know, I have a high schooler who I threatened his life downstairs if he said anything. I'm on a live mic. And
well, his mom, he's still alive.
Yeah, he's just roaming around down there. Yeah. He's wishing my absence. Can she go TUI again? This would be a good time. But I'm a social worker, right? And I struggle so hard. I have a 33-year-old, okay, and then I got a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And I have a 22-year-old. That's a whole nother show. The part is though mentally. I'm in a grandmother mentality, like, like I call my other kids to get them, and I'm annoyed that he's doing regular normal things, and I have to check myself, but I do talk to him. And his school has, they had a walk. We did the walk. Our whole family did the walk. I brought in VA social worker friends, and I just know that good people are going to take continuing education credit. They're going to take something that they know, or they're going to see a clip of the show and go, what the hell? Okay. Because it's interesting, right? It's about keeping people present and making sure they feel like I do. I want to join something right now. How do I, and that's what you evoke. That's powerful. And I can't discredit anything you've done before because obviously you've done it all and I'm just coming in the end. But I know that the school district I'm in, I have to talk to you offline. I want to be part of doing something where I see your face in my memories of my son living.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I joke a lot. I am not joking about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a social worker and I love my son to death. I do love him, love him, love him. He's the spoiled baby that the other two want to shank on most days.
Oh my gosh.
Really, like they're going to get him. It's just, I'm the only thing between him and them. And I'm not always there. And, I feel everything with him, right? It's my last shot at this, and everything I've done before clearly messed them up. This is my last shot. And I just know that it's real. And I'm in a STEM universe over here, right? So these kids play the piano.
You got Cliff dying and laughing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, these kids invented Lent, well, they're supposed to. And some of them are first generation, and they're like super, super, like, I thought my kid was a nerd. He's just regular. Like, I thought he was going to get his ass kicked in his freshman year, right? Right. He's really kind of a nerd and he's mouthy. Guess what? He's in his element over here. They're all like that. Dungeons and Dragons, weird verbiage I don't understand. Star Wars up. Again,
it's all about Fortnite.
He loved his freshman year. I was like, how the hell does that happen? My other kid, you know, well-balanced, yada, yada, musician, football, totally outgoing.
Right.
He hated it. So you don't know what you're going to get. My daughter, again, right, lost her mind at 15. Thank God I came back around the time I needed AFib, you know, an defibrillator. But I don't know if what I'm doing is right. I don't. I just know that he's alive and I don't want to screw it up. And I want to get as much help as I can. But I realized the other day, because of my bumming, because of my sabbatical, because of my don't go and deuces right now, well, I'll be back, GS. But I listened to him talk the other day. That he was talking about the loss of his friends. Yeah. Not losing friendship.
Oh no, I know what you mean.
Okay, losing friendship. I know what you
mean.
But you know what? I'm whispering, but his one friend, he said, I said, well, you know, you're trying to be, I don't know, I'm trying to not be my mother, right? Like, I'm trying to keep with the feelings here. And I said, you know, we all move in different circles and our friend circles change, and that's normal, you know, and you're now super active and you're, you know, trying to do these travel sport teams and you're like, you know, crazy about all these things you want to do. And you're not a couch potato and you're not sitting in the basement playing video games. Like, you're out there and you're changing and all that. And, you know, sometimes, you know, blah, 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 like we do. And you know what he said to me? Mom, I know, like, I can make friends, right? I'm just sad. I'm sad I lost the one I had. Like, he was my best friend and he's not telling me why he doesn't want to be my friend. Oh, I can't even air this now because I'm so mad that I would say this. But that was my teachable moment.
Yeah. That's one of the many things that I say.
He said, I can have
kids are going through. People don't realize, not people, parents. Parents don't realize that
he can have 50 friends. It's the one he doesn't have. Yes. And so if my daughter lost her friend, he died, complications with COVID, but he had a pre-existing condition. He died in his sleep over Christmas break. And she was estranged from him. They had one of those funky little going to college, I'm over you, I don't want to talk to you, you make me sick, call me next week, that kind of thing.
Now she's guilty. Now she feels guilty because he's gone.
Right. And me, I thought about the mom in me, not the therapist in me. And I said, you know, all I would do is I would go over there and just give her a card and maybe like a candle, or I was just trying to think something. And then I said, please call her when it's quiet. Everybody's going to go home. People are going to start bringing over casseroles, whatever. Call her when it's quiet. And she now has a nice relationship with the mom. I said to her, because she's like, honestly, she didn't know what to do. I said, I'll go with you if you want. I'll go with you. I'll go with you to the funeral. I'll go with you. And you don't know. And I do this for a living, right? No, I know nothing. It was just so real, and I don't know, and I'm not her, and I love her. And yeah, and you know what? Honestly, no one was really sure that it wasn't suicide. That was the topic.
A lot of people,
nobody didn't know because of what was happening in his universe. That could have been there. And it was something I asked my daughter. And I just told you know, it doesn't discriminate. You know that, right? And she said, yeah. I said, and it was all these things, right? And that's why everybody has that, as you know. Like, it's supposed to make sense, right? Like, we can peg COVID. Oh, it's just say yeah. People don't have any boxes left in their garage to put their shit. That's the reality of it, right? And you said it, Cliff. Oh, and you also said it, Linda. We ran out of things that we could hide or whatever. And, you know, I had a friend that thought she was going to lose her shit because she couldn't do online dating, because then you had to meet someone, and then people that do the online, this is for real. I'm paying attention. They're doing online dating, and it worked out perfectly. Because you don't have to meet. You can have this whole pseudo universe. But people that actually were used to meeting people and having dates and going out, or just having friends or making new friends.
Yeah.
Everybody was in lockdown.
Yes.
And when it wasn't temporary, it strained everything. Now this is a freaking pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's much easier, right, to dismiss kids being kids.
Yeah.
And what I've learned with this one, the last one here, whatever it is so freaking real.
It is.
I knew that in theory before. But because I'm home, I'm around, and I see those little nuances, these little changes, and he's kind of being a little mean to me right now, which feels awful. But guess what? My daughter pointed out, he's always treated you kind of crappy. Oh, I was honing in because I had time. All right, didn't know. But I think about all the things I dismissed. I think about what my daughter went through with her own issues. And I was a terrible parent to her. I wasn't the parent she needed at that time. But she's here, and I get a do-over. And that's why I just, you know, I'm praying on you for everything now. I'm just going to include you in my light and candle place, because this really hits me, and it should hit everybody. When you go through things with your children and they're here, you get a do-over.
Yeah.
Or the possibility of.
Yeah.
You're not estranged from her.
Nope.
Right? Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind me crying, but
no, I'm good. I cry all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just good right now. I cry all the time.
Even the shittiest parent, right? Gets an opportunity to get it right. And you are a good parent, and you are a good parent.
Thank you.
And I'm so pissed off. After this, I want to know, you know, this is crazy. Can I ask, where is this superintendent person, or this group of people?
Oh, the superintendent is no longer the superintendent. He ended up.
Did he like go somewhere like Montana, and he's under house arrest in a log cabin?
I don't know where he went, but it's been a lot.
That's just my dream.
He went hiking.
I just need him to be uncomfortable. Watch me get a tour. No, I'm not stalking. If you would see me, I'm not a good stalker. I'm not a secret. But I just think like, nobody operates by themselves, right? So there was a powerhouse in there that was keeping crap going. And I know teachers who really got it handed to them. And you know what? They never lost their integrity. They were still who they are. And over the years, you know, they're saying, especially when they have parents that are present, I got the other end, the parents that they have to tell us to restrict our car to one family. Like, I was in a school district, they couldn't even pay parents to show up before.
Yes.
And so, but it doesn't mean that, you know, these kids are suiciding. They are taking their life because of unrealistic expectations, because of the wind, because of whatever they were going through, a breakup, the wind. I'm not going to justify it. I'm saying it's real.
Yeah.
And then I love the verbiage, right? It's almost like when somebody does something, but they came from a good family. Oh, so only bad families do bad things. Here, they had everything going for them. You know the rhetoric. Yeah, well, they didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That they didn't.
Yeah. You know, as we wrap it up here, and
we have to do that, right?
Yeah.
I was crying. I went through Kubler-Ross's phases. I was pissed off. I wanted to get Cliff.
Well,
he's my driver.
I think you now know why I wanted you to come on the show.
Yeah, I thought you were crazy. Yeah. I did a whole thing. I had a whole thing about stress. I thought we were going to just make fun of people stressed out and all this stupid stuff. My neighbor asked me to do yoga, and I'm trying to get out of that.
Yeah, you gotta do yoga. Best thing.
I know, but I can't hold.
No, you can't talk about it.
No, you start with restorative yoga, and then you work your way up. You just don't jump right in. You gotta go slow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bum. I don't want anybody telling me when to move. I just want to jump around. No, but
So, hey, one thing I want to do before
I hope I didn't screw this whole thing up with my,
you screwed it up. I want to send you a bill later. Chris
I'm just so angry that you had to go through all that. That's where my anger is. I have to do something with my anger. So I'm going to focus on these idiots that forgot they were human and forgot you were human. And shame on them. Shame on them.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. When they get to the pearly gates, they're gonna have to answer for it.
Right.
So
they won't make it there. Don't worry about it. They're not even gonna be on the street that day. No, I already know. I got people like that. They're not going to the pearly gates. There's a toll booth, or there's a border. I'm hoping there's border patrol.
That's a good way of looking at it. I didn't think about it like that.
No.
I didn't think that they might be held up at the border.
I don't want anybody getting close. Don't. What if you have a fake ID? Oh no. That's Henry. That's Henry that threw that glass and called me the N-word in 7th grade. He shouldn't even be up here. Right? He shouldn't even be at the door. And I feel like this should just be a drop. Just drop them in that hole down there. Let go. No. Just so you know, they're not gonna make it. They should feel sad that they're not even gonna get a conversation. They go, plump.
That's it. That makes me feel better.
No, don't have me at the identifying wall. Like, no.
Right, you never forget a face.
It's securing you. No. I'm gonna be Homeland Security at the gate. I hope I get at the gate. Look at all the smack I'm talking. And if I am over there with them, I'll make sure I keep them up for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Tori.
Hey, while we're closing out, and I hate to bring us back because we're having laughing and joking, but as we're closing out Suicide Awareness Month, and I'm gonna have each one of you do this because you both have two different specialties. So, Linda, if I'm a parent and I'm noticing something different in my child, or what are maybe a couple of signs and symptoms that I should be looking for in my child? And then, Tori, I'm going to throw the question back to you. As an adult or as an older person who's not in school age, but somebody in your arena, what are a couple of things that maybe I should look at within myself? And I'll let you think about this while Linda's answering, to know if I need to ask for help or something like that. I just want to close out with things that can help parents who maybe has a child that's gone quiet or a child that's struggling, or maybe Tori, I want you to help with maybe an adult who like we talked about last podcast, who's maybe, having some minor issues or having that issue or a thought. And I think that would just be an awesome way to end it. And once again, I want to say, thank everybody who tuned in. I've been monitoring the Facebook comments and stuff. Please, if you get a chance, go out to lowenslaw.org on top right hand corner and donate. She did not ask me to do that. I've done this on my own. I'll run that on my Facebook page. I'll probably boost this podcast too for at least a month to try to raise more awareness of what Lorenz Law. Sorry, I'm getting tired. Lorenz Law does and all the help that you do with children. So if you wouldn't mind, Linda, I'll throw it over to you. And if I know you know this because you gave me these points when we talked about Junior, and that's why I asked you, because they were really good points and they were very subtle. And Tori talked about this, but it was something that I cued on with him that I was able to sit down and talk about, right? Mm-hmm. And one thing I had to realize is Junior's a very smart kid. If he doesn't get A's and B's, it's because he was lazy. And I used to get frustrated with that. And then I realized that me getting frustrated with him getting A's and B's, or getting less than A's and B's, actually stressed him out. So in talking with you, I had to relearn how to talk with him about his grades in a way that didn't make a situation more, because there's many different reasons why kids grade. Lord knows my parents were on my ass all the time to even graduate high school, right? Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't, once sports interest was done, Cliff Ballman's he's checked out. I'm gone. Once football and wrestling was over with, I'm done. I have no reason to be in school. I had no desire to be in school. I just wanted to work on cars and race them. And anybody who went to school will tell you that's what I wanted to do. And my parents fought me tooth and nail. And I didn't want to do that with Junior, but you gave me some really good advice. And I'd like for you to kind of, talk with parents about that as we close out.
Yeah, well, the one thing that I would say to every parent, every caregiver that is out there, no two children are going to be the same, but the one thing that they can do is they can try to be as open and transparent with you as you are with them and how you allow them to be. So to have an open dialogue, to be able to look at your children, to see the smallest changes in them. You know, I would say teenage growing pains, especially when it's, young children going through puberty, and you're going to start seeing changes. What I saw as teenage growing pains were not teenage growing pains. If you start noticing that your child is withdrawing, if your child starts to want to spend more time alone, if your child starts to become agitated when they're normally very happy and, very agreeable, if they start to not want to take care of themselves, if they start to kind of, how can I say this? Decline in self-care. If they, if Loren loved her sneakers and she didn't like them getting scuffed up, so she took excellent care of her sneakers. And then right before, after she passed away, I realized that right before she passed away, she wasn't really caring about her sneakers and her personal items the way that she did, or the way that she used to. And, hopelessness, if your child all of a sudden starts, if their grades are slipping and you offer to help them, or, speak with their teachers or their school counselors, and you start hearing a bunch of hopelessness. Well, mom, dad, it really doesn't matter. Nothing's ever going to change. When you start to hear things like that, such hopelessness, that, the world will be a better place with them not in it. Those are not jokes. They're not jokes. These are these kids, and they're trying to say something to you. When you get home, please try to make sure that you spend time with your children. Make sure that you figure out how they're doing and what they're doing. And if they're not doing great and their grades are not great, please remember that they have a lot of things that they're going through. There are a lot of kids, they turn to each other, they're there for each other, and they know each other's, faults, and, they sit there and they support each other. And the same way that they do that, they also grieve together. And, there's a lot that these kids are going through. You heard Tori mention, something about her son's friend, and how he was so sad because he didn't understand why he lost his friend. When you're a child, losing a friend is like losing a loved one to death. That is death to them. And, what is something that is simple to us, or not even as simple, is a nightmare to them. And because they are told that their problems are nothing compared to us, because we're adults and we have to pay bills and we have to take care of them, they think that they don't matter. And then they start to become silent and withdrawn. And having an open dialogue is the best advice that I can give to any caregiver. Just make sure that you're not critical, and you're not, forcing, or your criticism on them. They have to know that you're there for them unconditionally, and they need our support. They can't do things to better themselves if we can't do anything to help them better themselves.
That's one thing I always told Junior. I'm your father. I'm not your friend, but I'm always here for you. And, I'm going to give you the best advice that I have, because that's from my life experience. You take what I give you and you mix it with what you think you need to mix it with. And that's how you come up with your decision. And, I had to allow him to make that decision. And then if it wasn't the correct decision, which it probably wasn't most of the time, but it had to come from both of us. And Junior always knows that he can, and he did. He would always talk to me or call me. Even he's at college now. You know, he calls me, you know, at least twice a week, but he always ends the conversation, "Love you, Dad." You know, so
Absolutely.
just by the mere fact that I can have that conversation with him and he ends it with that, I think I did what I was supposed to do.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. And that's awesome.
Troy, you're up.
I don't know how I even have anything. Wow.
So if I'm a parent and I'm going through
hanging
things,
on every word, I think I have to change gears, right? So I have to turn and
switch them. Take a drink of water and switch them.
I will. Thank you. Okay.
How are we doing on your water?
I'm ready.
So
we down to 4 o'clock yet?
I'm pushing on 5.
Oh, good. See, we
yeah,
did you
I gotta
good.
get to 9
We
p.m.
did you good.
So
Switch the wine afterwards.
I love what you said. I think so the environment that this child, for me, the child I have where I'm learning everything about parenting a teenager. I don't know how the other ones, they clearly were raised by wolves. But I think, you know, I did what I did with the tools I had.
Yeah.
And I find that they're adults now and I just apologize for everything. I'm apologizing for stuff that I can't even, before they even if they don't need it, I'm sorry for everything. But the one thing that professionally, I talked to someone actually today that was talking about their teenage child, a son. And I was listening to them and they really had it together. And the only thing they needed me to do was to validate and I wanted to share their willingness to go out of their comfort zone. So, you know, our kids make us look at ourselves. So that's already like, you don't want to go that deep. Then this environment, this child is completely different. The generation is completely different than my son that was skateboarding, and I don't know what he did, but he had like important stuff back then too. But he just seemed, the environment supported his independence to adapt. So he was out running all over the place, doing whatever he was doing in an environment that supported that. But this one, he is surrounded by what you could look on the surface and say, that's why the other two can't stand him, is that they're overindulged. Their sense of entitlement is really high. They don't know what to do with themselves. Right. They have so much stimulation going on all the time that they don't even know how to like play, right? They don't know how to initiate play. Everything is like organized. Parents are just organizing everything. So given all that though, when I do talk to parents and I'll say, you know, are they doing this because, and again, I don't really hang out with kids doing therapy. I'm mostly scolding the parents. So I'll say like, is it something they want to do? Or is it something you want them to do? Right? Like I always try to start with that. Like, what are they doing? So if I have a parent that used to smoke so much weed, they invented weed. And then they're pissed that their kid is using drugs. Right. At that point, I want to know what's up with you, Charlie, because I get it. We want better for them. We want some things, whatever. We've walked that road, but this is their road. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard. And I think that's probably what I do when I don't call it parenting skills. I don't do that. I really don't. I let other people do that, or I think they should. I just try to get to people's core and figure out if they love their kid. Mm-hmm. Let's start with that. Just because you're parenting doesn't mean that you should be. Right. Right. So I try to keep things very, very simple. Right. So like, kind of like, what's your role in this? Right. And if I'm doing husband and wife or co-parenting, and that comes in many forms, usually the people that think they're screwing the kids up are usually the most heartfelt people with the ability to alter, shift, and do everything. Like they've just completely said, I think I have to be open here because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I had even just recently having a blended family and having people just willing to love. And this is probably not even any kind of answer, but it's the only answer that I have. So it's recognizing that where social work says, you know, meet the person where they are. I just want to know where they are, but I also want to know where they think they want to go, or where they think they can go. And I have been known to reel people in and really just always saying like, do you know your kid? And then wondering what that fake confidence looks like. I like people that like, I have no idea what the hell they're doing. Okay, so we have someplace we can go with this, right? Of course I know. And all I see is like the kid just trying to function. You know, sometimes I don't even see the kid. But I'm always telling folks to know your resources before you need them. So if you have a teenager or you have children, just know what supports are there, right? Like Kennedy Krieger isn't gonna like, you know, abduct you in the night because you called or because you looked over things. You know, if you have a feeling something's not okay, you don't have to race the kid to therapy. All right, I'll get some crap from that. But you don't have to diagnose everything. Some things are just weird pain, strange, quirky stuff. And it just might be that kid. It might just be your weirdo parenting crap. It might be that you're the one that needs some shit, not them. They're just trying to struggle with you. So I just try to figure out where folks are and then engage folks, right? And not use all this prophesizing technical crap. I already know I can go to it. It's right there. But I really just want to get people to just be people and just be breathing and say, you know, well, what is it you want? I don't care what the school says. I don't care what his grades look like. What do you want? What's he doing? What are they doing? What's she doing? What are they, you know, a big thing that is new for me as a parent, and I keep throwing this in everybody's face too. I witnessed going to a bathroom at the high school and I was confused. I am used to seeing a man, a woman, man/woman, teachers, bathroom, don't go in there. And now I can't even remember what the phrase was, right? I just know it was all-inclusive bathroom. That's my take on it. I'm interesting sometimes. So my son's out on the field playing. I want to savor this. I take a picture of it because I realized I got something to talk to him about, right? Yeah. So I said to him, do you know, he used all these terms, all these acronyms that I heard I've used. He was 14. I just wanted to show that learning place I was. I have a 33, 22, 33, none of this existed. Of course, it did exist. We didn't have a label. We didn't have a name. We didn't have a safe space, yada, yada. I was going in. I want to know something. So, you know what my son said? Let's say somebody else's son said it. I don't know what this thing is going to do. But somebody else's child said, yeah, that's disgusting. Why? I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't want to think my son is a hater player. What? Right? I don't want to be fake and phony, acting like everything's good and it's not. What are we doing? So I'm in the front seat driving like, so why is it disgusting? Did you go in there? No, I didn't. I got a little overwhelmed. I didn't know. Should I knock? What bathroom? And by the way, I have walked in on people like just recently more so than not because of this, just because I'm not paying attention. So I got a little fear. I don't want to walk in somebody doing something. I'm cool. I'm cool not going in men's bathroom with men. I'm not. So I'm all, is the kid in there? I don't want to be a parent walking in on a child. It was a whole situation. I don't know what this sign means. I'm old. I'm stupid. So he says to me, did you go in there? I said, no, I froze. I thought I'd talk to you about all that, a lot of signage. And I said, I was just curious where you are with all that. That's new. They didn't have that when Zari was in school. Just this, you can go anywhere, be what you want, do what you need. I love it. As a Black child, I'm loving this, right?
Yeah, we have
oh, so can I just say, you know why he said it was disgusting?
What?
Because it's a disgusting bathroom. He said they need to clean it.
Ah.
I was so happy. Oh, you know what? They're teaching them. They're teaching them because I couldn't teach him that.
Yeah.
That's the whole, you know, because you don't think about it. We're talking about kids and parents. What if you're a child that needs your safe space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's stuff right there.
Hey,
so you said talk like a clinician. I didn't do any of that. I was just talking like a parent and a weirdo. But I just want to point that out. Like, that's an engagement. That's an opportunity to just shut up and not try to water it down with everybody's the same. We don't. What? They see everything. I just started with him and I was just, so apparently they need to clean that damn bathroom.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Hey,
And I was happy that my son used words that he appeared very comfortable with. I was proud of this moment. I was just proud that
go talk to school about cleaning that
he's,
bathroom.
he's learning, he's open, and he is going to be a good friend. That's what I was thinking. And then how do I know what he's up to? Maybe he's someone that needs the bathroom. Save space, right? I'm still working on it. You don't know what you're getting with these kids. I'm just trying to love, and I want other people to love. And we don't know a damn thing, usually what they're doing. Just keep bringing them to the table, give them some chicken, and shut your mouth and listen. And then know your community resources.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, talk to other parents. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Talk to someone you can trust. Normalize the normal need.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody needs a pound of lobotomy, you know.
The things that you can't talk to your child about, that child is going to grow and they're going to become an adult. They're not going to be able to know who to talk to and how to develop coping skills unless you help them. And you have adults now. I mean, we have children, we can have them text 741-741 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Veterans can text too. And now we have 988, and 211. We have all of these different resources that are out.
We have a lot, but you know what too, because of the shortage, if folks are saying it here, I do want to say this. Any parent out there listening, all right, if you're going to spend time going online and buying these kids stuff, clothes and whatnot, and you're obsessing about sneakers and all this, right? Spend some damn time trying to figure out who's talking to your child. Make sure that the therapist is a good fit. Get in there, right? Somebody shouldn't be pushing you back. I've had parents check me. Whoop, I gotta know. Okay, I'm not perfect. But what I'm saying is you need to do this. I don't care if there's a shortage, but make sure you're paying attention and you're not, whatever you do, don't give up everything, be there, get messy, get dirty, do what you got to do. And the child may be the one that's fine, but you got to do that. So I'm just saying, again, pay attention to what mental health resources are out there and don't just do it for yourself. If I wasn't in this field, I would still be paying attention because somebody's going to, like your daughter, someone's going to come to them and talk to them and share something. Wouldn't it be cool if we knew? We don't got to use it. Yeah. I know a lot about Chevy trucks. Cliff too, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a Chevy. I don't drive a truck. Be open and pay attention. Mental health is for real.
Yeah.
And if somebody sees a resource, just hold on to the resource. If your kids go to school with them, talk to the people at the school before it's that. Find out what kind of skill set's sitting in there that your child is exposed to. Stay on it, pay attention, and be awake for it. And that's what I mean. Like, please don't leave your child talking to someone that should not be talking.
That's true.
Right? Not every therapist is a good therapist. Make them work.
So
I don't care. I don't care if there's a shortage. Still make them work. I'm working technically.
Right. So I'm going through the Facebook comments here, and I want to.
Oh boy, I'm sorry for everything, Cliff. I should have been better behaved.
You're fine. So first of all, I want to say Christiane, greetings. She's watching from Nova Scotia, Canada. So that's super exciting. So thanks for tuning in there. Yeah. So Joe puts out something in it, and Toy, I read this right when he started talking, and I hope he's still on. But I think this goes back to kind of what you were leading to, Toy. He says, every time my kid looks at me, I see all the pain that I have caused. I see the disappointment in not being a good or normal dad. And I think for a lot of parents, I'm a dad. I don't know what normal means because I'm a different parent than my parents was. And I'm sure Junior at times would look at me like, what's your effing problem, Dad, or whatever, as a child gets older. But I think, Toy, we all bring up good. We do the best that we can. And Joe, just know that I don't think your child's looking at you with disappointment. Maybe he just doesn't fully understand, what's going on at that moment or at that time.
Ask him.
And just have that conversation with him, and ask him and sit down and talk with him and see. And Linda, you brought that up, just have that conversation with that child and see. So Joe, I want to say thanks for putting that out there. And, you know, Larry responded to him and said, he said, lots of laugh, my youngest thinking he knows more. And so what kid doesn't think they know more than their parents? You
And
know,
it could
and
be
then
a
as they
team
get
up. The
older,
two of
yeah.
them could find
No,
someone
it's two
that could
different
talk
people. This
to.
one guy was responding to the other one. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
That's, you know, you can both go somewhere, and it doesn't have to be anything heavy and formal. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of mental health. It can also just be somebody I know is talking to their frat brother that went through something like that.
Sure.
You can talk to your neighbor. You could talk to anybody that might just be able to support. I think children just want to have love. They deserve it. They didn't ask to be here. We owe them that. And I think, you know, when you screw up, own it. And and sometimes it's not us, but if you weren't parented the right way that you needed, and now you're trying to go with these tatted tools to do a huge job, I think it's important to know that it's okay to figure it out. And if you need professional help or informal supports, ask for it. Linda, I think you would agree. You have a lifetime to get this right. You know, don't make the kid tell you some story in Starbucks when they're 40. Talk to them now, but make sure it's a safe space.
Right.
You know, you owe it. I get on parents all the time. You know, you owe them everything. Whether you like it or not, you do. Right? They didn't fall from the sky. They didn't ask, you didn't negotiate. They didn't say, listen, I like a crib with a good view. Look, you brought them in, they're yours. And if you can't do it, find somebody who will. They deserve the best life. They deserve the best try. But you know, my grandmother showed me love. I didn't have all the things people had, but I can tell you as a 54-year-old woman, I know what love is because I was taught what love is by my grandmother. She had that, and that was enough to give me everything because I knew how to get all these tangible things. They need love, you know, and they're cute. They're cute when they grow up, right? When they're teenagers, they even forgive you. They even forgive you.
I think it's important. I think it's important to understand that, you know, the one thing that everyone fears is change. And the one thing that is certain is that, you know, we try to make sure that we strive to be the best at, you know, the best person and live the best life, and to live a very fulfilling life as well as we can. And, you know, to break what I call the cycle of dysfunction is to be able to understand and, you know, what we went through. And if we didn't like how we grew up, then why would we want to do the same thing to our children? And yes, not all of us are meant to be parents, and they may not be great parents. And, you know, I am a product of foster care. I didn't come up with, you know, the best parenting. I did know love. You know, I was blessed, you know, to have a loving, one of my foster parents was very loving. And, you know, my great grandmother was very loving. You know, just those two interactions of love made things hopeful for me. And just because my childhood wasn't the greatest, I didn't want to do that to my children. So, you know, let's break the cycle of dysfunction. Just because our parents may not have taught us love, then let us be the one to break the cycle of dysfunction. And let's pass on love and kindness to our children. Our children are what we teach them to be. Mm-hmm. If you teach them to be a little asshole, then they're going to be an asshole. Yeah. If you teach them to be kind and open-hearted and, you know, just provide unconditional love to the world, that's what they're going to give. Yeah, so
and keep them safe. You have to keep them safe. And there are parents that things happen to their children and they weren't able to keep them safe. Yeah. And that's not a fault. And that's, you know, life happens. And I always say I want to shrink everybody down and put them in my pockets. But, you know, as if you, this world is really interesting. And I'm a big fan of getting the support and the help. And if you don't have that, people think, oh, I had a friend of mine, and she's a therapist too. She said, I just didn't have a good family. I said, but look at the family you have now. And then you can create it. The military gave me that. The military gave me so many people to love me, and I love them. But I sought that out. I wanted that because that's who I am. But I always tell people there are opportunities. And again, some people have to learn all this. And that is where a therapist, some people call themselves life coaches. I do believe in a formal education to do this, and I'm never going to back down from that. You heard a lot of stuff I was saying.
Yeah.
You know, I'm over here messing around from the hip. I like being a human. I'm mouthing off. But when it comes down to getting down, I actually have, believe it or not, I actually went to school for a lot of this stuff. And I've also been run through the ringer with training, continuing education, mentorship. This is an ongoing process. Mental health is an ongoing, growing, developing life cycle. And sometimes what we thought we were going to do, Margaret Mahler, I think there's videos of her smoking cigarettes, holding kids on the lap, you know, from these developmental videos back in the 70s. You know, we're always developing. And that's the beautiful thing about us being alive in this world. If you're a parent and you have very little resources, my grandmother would say, I'm laughing, but she would say, you know, you could be poor and be clean. Right? Somebody's like, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. My grandmother would say, I didn't have a lot of money either, but I had 10-cent soap and I cleaned the floor and water was free. So I learned a lot about you can develop a world at a very basic place that is clean and safe. And that's what anyone needs, but that's what our children deserve.
Yes.
And if you screwed it up, all right, and you're beating yourself up, that's not being fair to you.
Yeah.
And I swear kids are tofu. Whatever you put on them, they just, you know, they develop out of it. And you have an absolute beautiful canvas, and you got to own your crap to know you got to fix it.
That's
but
true.
Kids, they know everything. You ever see a kid that goes to, I met kids, they go, yeah, they're interesting. They go to prisons and they visit their parents, and their parents did terrible things to people.
Yeah.
I met a kid that said, he was a little kid. He was on one of those raggedy buses that are up in Rutgers, they go to Rutgers Island in New York. And that's a whole nother thing.
Rikers
Island.
Rikers.
And I was just there at this little bodega and this little kid. And I don't know, he was so cute and talkative. And I was like, wow, you know, and it wasn't until I got outside that I saw him get on this raggedy bus that shouldn't be driving anybody. And I thought, this kid knows I don't think it's his first trip. He knows where he's going. And he was so cute trying to find something he wanted to get. And I don't know, but he was just a very healthy, beautiful child. And where his day was going, I don't know, but his little sense of self was right the spot on. And my ungrateful kids, we were going to the Bronx Zoo and everybody was throwing diapers or something. I don't know. But I just kept thinking about this little kid that was getting on his raggedy bus that was just so full of joy. And he was so cute. And I asked him if he wanted an ice cream because everybody was there. And he's like, no, my Mima or somebody has something. And she looked at me like, yeah, she could have took that free ice cream. But it just shows you that these kids, you got kids that in Syria that are going to grow up and do something not what's in their environment right now. We don't know. They should be telling us how to do it because they're the most resilient creatures ever. But as parents, we owe it to operate from humility, but the practical application of psychotherapy, exposure therapy, DBT, whatever you want to do, you know, you may have trauma that you're so afraid of giving to the kid that now you are restricting your engagement. And that hurts because they know it. That's why I don't work with kids, because they're smarter than me. They're awesome. And I don't want to screw them up. I don't want to screw anybody else's kid up, you know? But yeah, I would say whoever that person, Nova Scotia, by the way, love it, love you, love everything there. I'm from New England, if you can tell. I think
couldn't tell
that it was so beautiful that he put that out there, and he deserves a spiritual hug. And then I'm going to kick him a little and say accountability. So glad you wrote it. What's your next step? If you love your baby, love it, figure it out, get the help you need to figure it out. You know, this is just that first thing. I don't have the right answer for anybody, but I can open up that door and say, where do you want to go? So Cliff, I would say if you have someone that needs a little assistance navigating, I'm not going to take you on as a patient or anything, but I'm good at resource gathering. So I could do that. If you had something you want to send me and somebody gives me
it's if you on the Veterans Trash Talk Facebook page, you'll see the comments there. Now, some of the comments during the live show may not appear. Do they appear? Will they stay on the Facebook page, Chris, throughout, or will they disappear?
They should stay on the Facebook page.
Because I know sometimes on mine they disappear during the live show, depending on what box I put them in. So if they're out there anyway, Tori, you can. I'll talk to you tomorrow when you have time. I'll show you.
Yeah, I'm here. I want people to win, you know. And I'm not working, so I'm around to dig around on Google.
Well, it's after 10 o'clock. I know Chris got to get up at 4 a.m. I got to get.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I got to get Lloyd. I got to get Lloyd to bed. Mate, you're still up, so
I gotta go find out what my kids.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right?
No, the house got quiet. So for the last 5 minutes, I've been in panic mode.
Right?
Oh
yeah.
no.
So, but hey, I want to tell everybody. I want to say I appreciate you tuning in to the show. Is very important show. I really appreciate Linda coming on, and I really appreciate Tori coming on. But I would implore you, please go out to lorenzlaw.org. I'll make sure I'll post all the links and everything tomorrow.
Oh, good.
So everybody can go out there. And please, if you can donate anything, will help with what she does. Not only what she's done with the law in Maryland, but what she does with kids nationwide with the training and other things. So I want to say thanks again for tuning in. Everybody have a great week. Get out there, enjoy the weather. Call that buddy, call that friend who maybe has went quiet. Be sure to go out to VeteranTrashTalk.com, visit our shop, and get all of our merch. You can get our t-shirts and everything else out there, and all benefits help support Veterans Trash Talk so we can continue with great shows just like you got done listening to. So thanks a lot. Have a good night and take care.